Welcome back to another explainer. So, if you're deep in the trenches of wedding planning right now, you know decision fatigue is incredibly real. You're juggling the caterers, the guest lists, the florals, and then right in the middle of all those spreadsheets is a moment that brings a very specific kind of anxiety, the first dance. It's that highly anticipated moment, everyone's watching you, and the pressure to not look, totally awkward is just immense. So today, we're going to break down exactly how to tackle this challenge completely stress-free. Okay, let's dive into this because this right here is the central, stressful question hanging over the head of pretty much every engaged couple staring down their timeline. You know you probably need some help, but what does that commitment actually look like? Are we talking a couple of quick pointers, or are you literally signing up for a part-time job learning to ballroom dance? Well, it can feel oddly overwhelming until you realize there's actually a concrete way to figure this out. And here is your golden rule. The vast majority of couples actually find their sweet spot right here, between 2 and 6 lessons. Take a breath, let that sink in. You absolutely do not need a professional ballroom background, and you definitely don't need months of grueling training. That 2 to 6 range, that is typically all it takes to learn the basic steps, get your timing totally synced up with your partner, and add in some simple, memorable choreography that looks really intentional. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how we're going to figure out where you fall within that 2 to 6 lesson range. I like to call this the lesson equation. We're going to calculate your personal lesson number by looking at what's above the line, so that's your current experience, your choreography goals, and your song choice, and then we divide all of that by what's below the line, your practice time. So let's break these variables down one by one. Let's start with variable number 1 in our equation, your experience level. So if you've got some informal dance experience, like maybe you've danced together at other weddings, or you naturally just have a bit of rhythm, you'll definitely see results faster. You'll likely only need about 2 to 3 lessons. For you guys, the focus is just on polishing that timing, maybe fixing your posture, and creating a nice, short sequence. But if one or both of you are brand new to structured dance steps, if counting out beats feels literally like learning a foreign language, you need to plan for 4 to 6 lessons. You aren't just learning a routine here. You really need that extra time to actively build confidence and develop that muscle memory right from scratch. Moving right along to variable 2, your choreography goals. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how drastically your vision shifts the actual workload. If you just want a clean and simple first dance, a comfortable hold, an easy flow, maybe a couple of smooth turns with minimal memorization, you can easily keep this to 2 to 4 sessions. It's super low stress. But if you're aiming for complex choreography with multiple sections, big, pronounced turns, or maybe even a safe lift to really wow the crowd, well, you're jumping right into that 5, 6, or even more lesson territory. Complex routines just require a massive amount of repetition, especially when you factor in how those wedding day nerves can make you suddenly forget literally everything you just learned. Which brings us to the final piece of the top half of our equation, variable 3, the song structure. So instructors actually love to think in what they call dance segments, rather than the whole song. If you choose a shorter edit, say just 60 to 90 seconds of a track with maybe one main transition, you can learn that incredibly fast. 2 to 3 lessons is completely fine. But if you pick this 4-minute epic track that shifts tempos, changes moods, and has all these distinct sections you want to highlight, you are going to need significantly more sessions. Why? Well, because you have to practice every single one of those complex musical transitions until they become completely automatic. All right, now we shift our focus to the denominator. This is the hidden catalyst of the entire process, home practice. 15 to 30. That is the magic number of minutes you need to practice. The reality is, your true lesson needs are entirely dictated by what you're doing between the lessons. If you can carve out just 15 to 30 minutes of practice, 2 to 3 times per week in the weeks leading up to the wedding, your progress is going to absolutely skyrocket. You'll absorb the steps so much faster, which actually allows your instructor to move forward in the next lesson, instead of just reteaching you what you forgot since last time. There is a very simple truth to all this. The practice plan matters as much as lessons. It really is that simple. Now, if you're dealing with a crazy tight schedule and you know, realistically, that you and your partner are just not going to practice in your living room, hey, that is okay, but you have to acknowledge it. If your practice time drops to 0, you inherently need to book more guided lessons to compensate for that, or you need to ask your instructor for a highly repeatable routine with very few moving parts. Let's move to and see how this builds into your ultimate timeline cheat sheet. Synthesizing everything we've just talked about. If you're comfortable dancing and just want a simple flow, you're looking at 2 lessons. If you need some basic technique and maybe short choreography to feel confident, target 3 to 4 lessons. Now, if you are totally new to dance and you want multiple sections or turns, book 5 to 6 lessons. And finally, if you want a really demanding routine but you have super limited practice time at home, you need to budget for 7 or more lessons just to get that guided repetition in. But listen, there is a scheduling secret here that's honestly almost as important as the number of lessons themselves. Schedule your final session 1 to 3 weeks before the wedding day. It is a huge mistake to finish your dance lessons 2 months before the wedding. You will absolutely lose that muscle memory. Spacing really matters. Hitting that 1 to 3 week window ensures that the final, most polished version of your dance feels fresh and consistent in your body when the big day actually arrives. So before you actually pull the trigger and book an instructor, bring these questions with you. Ask them about the typical time frame for couples with your specific experience level. Ask them to clearly define what home practice should actually look like for your chosen routine. Make sure they're willing to simplify the routine if you find out you aren't learning it quite as fast as you'd hoped. And crucially, ask them how to physically prepare for the big day's reality. You need to practice in your wedding shoes, and you definitely need to discuss your venue's specific flooring. A good instructor will also have solid strategies for managing your comfort when, 100 people are staring right at you. So the crucial point is summarized perfectly right here. The goal isn't to become expert dancers. It's to create a moment you and your partner can feel proud of. I think it's incredibly easy to lose sight of that when you're stressing out over counting beats and memorizing footwork. The goal is joy. The goal is a smooth, enjoyable dance. Start with that 2 to 6 lesson range that fits your goals, put in a little bit of practice, and really just enjoy the process of learning something new together. Now that we've hopefully taken a lot of the anxiety out of the timeline, I want to leave you with the fun part. What song are you choosing to make your moment? Think about that track, apply the framework we've just walked through today, and go make it happen out there on the dance floor. Your perfect moment is waiting.